misrepresented when it comes to God belief seems to be a recurring theme when it comes to atheism, with theists saying, "You don't believe there's a God, so that's the same as saying there's no God." No, it isn't. This misrepresentation can be very motivating when it comes to speaking about one's atheism. But what else motivates atheists when it comes to a lack of belief where a God is concerned? Hello, I'm TheSkepTick. I watch videos on YouTube that make extraordinary claims, whether that's flat earth or strange conspiracies, but mostly the claim that a God is real, and then explain why I can't accept their position. Before we get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be alerted for my next video, and drop a like. That would be a great way to kick off 2022. There are different levels of atheism. Some keep their lack of belief to themselves, some offer reasons they aren't convinced only when asked, and some combine their lack of belief with anti-theism and go all out on why they don't believe. But all, usually, are not convinced that a God exists, with some even proclaiming that there is no God. If there was a scale with 1 being quiet about their lack of belief and 10 being all-out militant anti-theism atheist, I would put myself at about 6. With that in mind, I found a video by a YouTuber called Brother Dave. He would like to know what motivates atheists to be outspoken.
What motivates outspoken atheists? Are you an atheist that actively talks to others and ultimately tries to convince others to doubt God or reject the existence of God?
I wouldn't say I would start a conversation, but I would definitely join a conversation if somebody wanted to know. So I guess I'm someone that actively talks to others, but I wouldn't say I encourage others to reject a God. I merely offer why I'm not convinced. If that makes someone question whether their position is valid, then that's okay too.
Increasingly on YouTube and all other outlets, there are atheist philosophers, atheist scientists, atheist comics who are aggressively attacking the idea of God in general and the Bible in specific. And question arises in my mind, why?
Without knowing exactly what you're referring to specifically, it would be unfair to offer an opinion on that. I know that in the past, when I first went on my journey of questioning, I felt as though I'd been lied to for many years. That kind of thing can cause a huge emotional response.
We would all agree that we have a very short life. The life we have right now is very short.
Compared to what? Tortoises? Sure. But compared to dogs? Not really. So what?
Especially in light of what happens after death. The atheist would believe that after death, there's nothing.
And here's a massive misrepresentation already. Some atheists still believe something can happen after you die. They're just not convinced that there's a God. I spent a good portion of my life as a spiritualist that didn't believe in a God, but one that was convinced of an afterlife. After moving away from that, I don't now assert that there is no afterlife. I'm just not convinced there is one. What happens after I die? Well, I don't know for sure, but I'm not going to live as if there is an afterlife until I've been convinced that there is one. If this is all I have, I want it to be the best it can be.
All conscious thought would cease forever. Lights out.
All of my conscious thought probably will, yes, but not all conscious thought, unless of course the universe was destroyed, though there could potentially be conscious thought outside of our universe, and we just don't know.
Just like a dog would fall over and die after a heart attack, so a man falls over and dies. Lights out. No more conscious thought forever.
Yeah?
And that this life is but, they'd probably agree with the Bible passage, is but a vapor. It's here today and it's gone tomorrow.
No, I wouldn't describe my time here as vapor.
So my question, what motivates you?
For me, it's just being understood. I don't care to change anybody's minds. But I would like a society in which people aren't judged for the colour of their skin or for their sexuality or gender. where people have the choice to do what they want with their bodies, and for us all to work together as a species and make the short time we have on the planet a good one. If the reason some people make decisions is because of what they believe a deity tells them, and that isn't aligned with the well-being of the human race, then something needs to change. If my lack of belief in a god makes someone think, maybe I do need better reasons to believe what I do, and they then go and research, then that's great. But if they don't, at least they understand where I'm coming from.
What motivates the aggressive, outspoken atheist?
Now that one I can't answer, as I don't know what others are thinking. I just know that when I first went down the path, I was annoyed and felt lied to.
See, right now, I am a believer in God. I'm a believer in Jesus. I believe he rose from the dead, having paid for my sins, and my soul's trust is in him. That I'm going to have a joyous and glorious eternity when I close my eyes in death. I'm a believer.
Okay, but you've only said what you believe, not why you believe it. I'm not convinced there's a God. Why? Because the evidence presented thus far isn't compelling enough to convince me, as I see reasons why it shouldn't be accepted. There, a what and a why. Easy, really.
Now, to the atheist, if there is no God, and it's all just made up, when I die, I'm not going to heaven because there is no heaven. When I die, I'm going to lose all conscious thought forever. Now, if you spend countless hours researching and developing argumentation, or for the comic, developing, funny things to say that try to break down the foundation of my faith, and one day I just say, hey, I don't believe in God anymore. You won me over. When I die, if I die a skeptic or if I die an atheist, I will lose all conscious thought forever. So whether I believe in God or whether I don't believe in God, I'm going to lose all conscious thought forever.
Wait, is this guy a taxi driver and he's got Blaise Pascal in the back? I feel a wager coming on.
The atheist, the agnostic, the believer, we all have the same destiny. We're all going to lose conscious thought forever, and everything we've ever done, everything we've ever said, everything we ever meant to anybody is going to be forgotten forever.
Give yourself some credit, buddy. You may have made an impact on someone's life.
Darkness forever. So, what motivates you to spend hour upon hour toiling and arguing and thinking about God and Jesus?
Easy. I don't. I only think about it when someone asks me, or when I'm looking for content for my next video.
Why do you put so much effort? Why do you spend so much of your little time thinking about God and how to refute him? What motivates you to do that?
Do you think atheists just sit around all day thinking about how not to accept claims of a god? It's not the same as theism. If anything, I get more time in my day because I'm not thinking about something that hasn't been demonstrated to be real. Though, because I enjoy it, I do watch a lot of theist and atheistic content. I find it fascinating how some folks reach the conclusions that there is a god or gods.
So for the Christian, I believe you were made as an image bearer. Right? You were made special, above the value of an animal walking around in the woods.
Remember that what and why thing? I understand that's what you believe, but it's much more interesting, nay, motivating to know why you believe that.
I believe that you were made a special creature with special transcendent qualities like free will and consciousness and a sense of justice and right wrong, that you are valuable.
But why?
And that you have an eternal, undying soul. And based upon what you do with Jesus will determine where you spend eternity.
Just saying all that doesn't make it true. That's not how it works. Everyone knows that, surely.
So I believe that eternity is at stake for you. You could go to heaven, having your sins been forgiven, having been reconciled to God through the cross of Christ. He died for your sins, so if you trust in him, you'll be with God forever.
And I may believe that if you trust in Dobby the elf, when you die, you go to Hogwarts. And I don't even need to tell you why. It's just what I believe. though it's not.
A man originally created to fellowship with God in paradise on earth. Yet, God allowing free will, man inevitably falls into sin. Man separated from God. Christ steps in as the mediator between God and men, takes man's sin upon himself, dies on the cross, so a holy God and a sinful man can come together. And the ultimate purpose of our existence is fulfilled. Man and God together, new heaven, new earth coming in a paradise.
And isn't that terrible? If it was true, then someone who has raped and murdered accepts Jesus and is forgiven and can go to heaven. And someone who stole a loaf of bread to feed their family but didn't accept Jesus goes to hell. Does anyone else see a problem with that?
So what was originally created was lost, but then was restored even better than it originally was.
Wouldn't a God be able to create something the way it intended the first time? You know, if it was all powerful. Oh, hang on. I see what you mean about anger now. This is mostly because it's annoyingly nonsensical.
Anyhow, so I believe eternity is at stake for whether or not you believe in Jesus. But for me, to the atheist, my eternal destiny is no different as a believer than it would be as a non-believer. So why do you spend so much time and so much effort trying to convince others to doubt or reject God?
Like I said, it's more to get everyone to accept the well-being of the human race as a whole. At the moment, the laws that folks believe are put out there by some gods go against the well-being of humanity. I don't mind if they believe in a god. I do mind if the way they got to that belief is unjustified. If you can accept that there is a higher power without sufficient evidence, who's to say you wouldn't believe something that could really be bad for the rest of humanity?
When in the end, it doesn't matter whether you do or whether you don't. You will have an eternity of lights out. No conscious thought forever.
So maybe it's better to do something about it now, whilst we still can, before those lights go out forever. I didn't realise, until actually thinking about it today, just what it is that motivates me. I don't suppose it's the same across the board, as different things motivate different people. Atheism doesn't make every atheist think the same. It's purely a lack of belief in a God. Whether those folks speak out about it or keep it to themselves is completely up to them. Well, where do you stand? Are you outspoken in day-to-day life about your belief or lack thereof? Let me know in the section below. I'm going to skeptic this off as a valid reason for talking about my stance on belief in God. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.